Wie kann man einem Mann vertrauen, der mit gespaltener Zunge spricht? How can you? Now what sort of disorientation of mind is that? Now what sort of distortion of mind is that? That you can say one thing or pretend to believe in one thing and you do the opposite. So it tells me that either you don't believe in what you say or you're doing what you're doing for political expediency. Either way, what you say cannot be trusted. The representation, the essence of a man is to be able to stand on principles. That is why I feel blessed that I was able, in the land of the living, to see politicians like George Brezan, a man who represented the essence of what it meant to be a Grenadian politician, a man who represented someone who dearly, intensely loved his country and loved his people and did everything within his power for the advancement of his people. I am blessed, and those who were able to be around politicians like these are blessed. It also tells me it's quite possible that these people don't understand. They don't understand what existed towards the end of the PRG government. They don't understand. They're confused. Because you can't say the two don't match. Okay? They're paradoxical. You cannot say, I love Maurice Bishop. You cannot compare yourself to Maurice Bishop. You cannot want to be like Maurice Bishop. And then you're in bed with people who turned on him. You're taking advice from people who turned on him. That is a contradiction. And you're actively working with these people to deliver a victory to them. You're actively working with these people to deliver a victory to them. And you say that you love Maurice Bishop. You say you love the ideals, and for all his contradiction and all his flaws, no one can accuse him of not truly loving the mass of Grenadian people and trying his best within the context, within the framework of which he found himself in a very tumultuous world and period of time, that his sole aim was to try to do, in that context, the best that he could have done for Grenadian people. And you had ravaging wolves around him who were obsessed with power. And he was contented with them being military cadres and exercising their power. He didn't want their power, but they wanted his power. They wanted to speak like him. They wished they had charisma like him, but they didn't. They wanted to speak like him. They wished they had charisma like him. They wished they had the appeal that he had. And because of that intense jealousy, they did the ultimate. They did the ultimate. They became Judases and did the ultimate. And if they had any sense, they could have maintained their military cadre power. They pretty much was running the show. But no, that wasn't enough. They wanted to be guys at the front with nice speeches. They wanted to be like him. That is how confused these people were. That they would sacrifice everything. They would burn the house down because they don't get to cook the food. So these people cannot be trusted around the throne. They cannot be trusted with the machinations of power. They've shown that. And again, with the recent shenanigans, they have proven that they cannot be trusted with power because they use power for devious ends. They will bend the boundaries of power and they will push the boundaries of power to achieve some sort of egotistical aim, as is the case. They want to come across as some big-time lawyer. They want to come across as some magnificent constitutional lawyer. That's what they want. This is about pride. A pride that has not left these people. A pride and an arrogance that has not left these people. Can't you see what this is about? And here you are, saying that you love Maurice and you're facilitating. You're facilitating these people. So then how could the Grenadian people believe anything that you say to them? How could they trust anything that you say to them? And again, as I said, many of them are in a trance. You know, you've got them hypnotized with sweet speeches. Like sweet speeches is going to get them somewhere. The only time I've seen a breakdown in the sweet speeches and a feeling of being uncomfortable was at the closure community meeting. This is the first time I have seen them totally out of the element. Totally out of the element. Anything else? You see the problem there is that you cannot put a spin. It's very difficult to put a spin on science. Okay? It's very difficult to put a spin on science and engineering. You could put spin on anything else, on economics, and on politics, psychology, law. You can put a lot of spin on these things. But science and engineering, it's difficult to put a spin on those things. And that is why you saw in the closure meeting, community meeting, that they were uncomfortable. They look out of the element. You would think it would have been better to get the engineer. And I wonder why they didn't get the outside consultant engineer to speak. Are you afraid they wouldn't say what the agenda is? They wouldn't keep in line? They might deviate and say the truth? Is that the reason why you didn't let them speak? All over the world, we see that people or politicians allow the technocrats to speak. But I don't know. It's a marveling Grenada. It's a marveling Grenada. Politicians don't allow technocrats to speak. A lot of times you see it in New York, you see it in California, you see it in Europe, you see it all over the world. The politicians say, oh no, I invite the technocrat or the commissioner of transportation to come and speak on this issue. But only in Grenada. You don't see that. But back to what we were saying. You cannot say you love Maurice and at the same time allow people who turned on Maurice, who in some respects had no love for Maurice. And these are the people who are advising you. These are the people you're in bed with. These are the people who are pushing the limits and the boundaries of their personal power and the laws and constitutional power of Grenada. They like that. They like toying with that. It's a game for them. It's like, how far can we go? We've gone far in 1983, extremely far. And we almost got away with it had it not been for external influence. But now, there's not much external influence. So guess what? Let's see in a so-called democratic society, let's use the machinations of government and see how far we can go again. We almost got away with it in 83. So let's toy with it a little. And then you have all these supporters, all these people who back them. You think we don't know who they are? You think we don't know who they are? You think we don't know their ideology? Or you think we don't know their stance? You may not know, but we know. They may deceive you, but they can't deceive me. Some of you guys talk like you've seen Maurice in the flesh. Some of you have not even seen the guy in the flesh. Okay? You saw him on television. You have some romanticized view of who the guy was. Well, I tell you, I sat and he came right on the terrace where I live ever so often. Okay? My auntie would have said to him, oh, don't smoke cigarettes in the house. Go on the veranda and smoke. So we saw him. We interacted with him. But you guys talk about him like you knew the guy. And here we are pretending that we loved him so much. And this is how. This is how we show our love. Boy, oh boy, how we lost.